Welcome back to WION World is One. You're watching Speed News with me, Vidur Kathuria. Let's get started. US President Donald Trump said he had been told the killings of protesters in Iran had been halted, adding that he would watch it and see about threatened military action. Offering no further details, Trump noted that the United States had yet to verify the claims. In an interview with Fox News, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi reportedly said there would be no hangings today or tomorrow. In recent days, Trump had repeatedly talked about coming to the aid of the Iranian people over the crackdown on protests. According to Norway-based Iran human rights NGO, at least 3,428 protesters have reportedly been killed in crackdown on protesters, whereas US rights body report the death toll has crossed 2,600. Iran has reportedly reopened its airspace after a near 5-hour closure of all flights, except permissible international flights to and from the country. Flight tracking website FlightRadar24 said the advisory of airspace closure was valid for a little more than 2 hours. Germany's Lufthansa airline said its flight would avoid Iranian and Iraqi airspace until further notice, after US threats against Iran. It added that some flights could also be cancelled. Earlier, Indian airlines including Air India and Indigo warned of delays due to temporary closure of Iranian airspace. US President Donald Trump has reiterated his claim of America needing Greenland. He also claimed Denmark cannot be relied upon to protect the island, a semi-autonomous Danish territory. However, Trump hoped for a resolution. The foreign ministers of Denmark and Greenland met with US Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio at the White House. The meeting was requested by the Danish minister to clear out misunderstandings. The two sides would form a committee to see if there was possible headway. Following a White House meeting between US, Danish and Greenlandic leaders, Greenland Deputy Prime Minister has said that more NATO troops are heading to Greenland. Speaking to the press, he added that the troops would be quote-unquote training. Earlier, France, Germany and Nordic countries said they would be taking part in a European military mission to the autonomous Danish territory, one which is coveted by US President Donald Trump. Republicans in US Senate thwart a final vote on a war powers resolution seeking to restrict future military action in Venezuela. After Senators Hawley and Young switched sides, Vice President J.D. Vance cast the tie-breaking vote. This is dubbed a big win for President Trump and Senate GOP leaders who mounted a last-minute pressure campaign to avoid another rebuke of the administration's actions in Venezuela. US President Donald Trump held his first call with Venezuela's interim president Delcy Rodriguez. Both leaders reportedly discussed oil trade and national security. He described Rodriguez as a terrific person, adding that the talks were mostly positive and showed tremendous progress. Rodriguez took over presidency of the Latin American nation on an interim basis earlier this month after the US military captured President Nicolas Maduro and flew him to the US to stand trial for drug charges. US Envoy Steve Witkoff has announced the start of Phase 2 of President Donald Trump's plan to end the Israel-Hamas war. The plan comprises a technocratic Palestinian government established in the territory. Under Phase 1, Hamas and Israel agreed a ceasefire in October as well as a hostage prisoner exchange, a partial Israeli withdrawal and an aid surge. Witkoff said Phase 2 would see the reconstruction and full demilitarization of Gaza, including the disarmament of Hamas and other Palestinian groups. US President Donald Trump reportedly said that Ukraine and not Russia is holding up a potential peace deal. In an exclusive interview in the Oval Office, Trump said Russian President Vladimir Putin is ready to wrap up his nearly 4-year-old invasion of Ukraine, whereas Zelensky was more reticent. This stands in marked contrast to the rhetoric of European allies that Moscow has little interest in ending the Ukraine war. Trump's comments suggest renewed frustration with the Ukrainian leader. The two presidents have long had a volatile relationship, though their interactions seem to have improved over Trump's first year back in office. A federal officer reportedly shot a person in the leg in Minneapolis after being allegedly attacked with a shovel during an arrest. Investigation into the case is in the early stages. The shooting reportedly took place about 7.2 kilometers north of where an immigration agent fatally shot a 37-year-old woman, Renee Good, in the head on January 7th as she drove away. In a statement, the Department of Homeland Security said that federal law enforcement officers stopped a person from Venezuela who was in the US illegally. The person drove away and crashed into a parked car before taking off on foot. Minneapolis mayor has condemned the incident as well as the presence of ICE agents. US President Donald Trump has taken a sweeping move to curb immigration. The State Department has frozen process of granting visas from 75 countries. The decision targets immigrant visas only, not tourist or business visas. The latest move comes amid a broader immigration crackdown. The Trump administration is calling it a measure to protect American taxpayers. The State Department says more than 100,000 visas have been revoked since President Trump's return to office. The latest freeze on immigration will apply to several Asian, African, South American and European countries. These includes India's neighboring countries like Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan and Myanmar. Additionally, Russia, Brazil, Iran, Nigeria and Egypt have also made it into the list. From war-torn regions to one of the most poor countries, US is closing gates for migrants from West Africa and West Asian countries like Iraq, Yemen and Syrian. Visa applications from Cuban and Colombian migrants will also stand frozen. The collapse of a construction crane in Thailand on a moving passenger train has claimed at least 32 lives and wounded scores of people. Cleanup and recovery operations are underway in Nakhon Ratchasima province. Teams have been deployed to remove debris and restore rail lines. Peruvian transport workers held their first strike of the year to demand protection from rising crime. This as President Jose Jerry announced new measures to combat lack of security on public transport. Passengers crammed inside the few buses that operated in the morning in Lima as many transport drivers' unions seconded the strike. No major incidents were reported. The president approached a group of protesters to inform them about the decrees to be implemented aimed at strengthening security on public transport. The US President signed a law allowing whole milk to be served alongside low-fat and fat-free alternatives in American schools. The Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act, which will expand milk options for nearly 30 million children who eat school meals, enables kids to have whole milk in schools for the first time in nearly 15 years. The act also enacts a long-standing priority of the dairy industry dating back to the administration of former President Barack Obama. The law is also aligned with the administration's Make America Healthy Again agenda. In what can be called NASA's first medical evacuation, an astronaut in need of medical attention departed the International Space Station along with 3 crewmates. Video footage shows the 4 returning crew members from the US, Russia and Japan, namely Mike Fink, Sina Cardman, Oleg Platonov and Kimiya Yui, undocking from the ISS after 5 months in space. They are aiming for an early morning splashdown in the Pacific near San Diego aboard a SpaceX Dragon capsule. However, NASA officials reportedly refused to identify the astronaut who needed medical care last week. They also did not divulge the health concerns, stressing that it wasn't an emergency situation. The outgoing space station commander, Mike Fink, said earlier that the ailing astronaut is stable, safe, and well cared for. Sri Lanka has deferred its grade 6 education reform to 2027. This following a major textbook controversy involving an inappropriate web link. The cabinet says the reforms require public confidence before rollout. However, grade 1st reforms remain intact in 2026 as planned. The incident led to heightened tensions and public protests. The delay was triggered by an error in a newly printed grade 6 English textbook, a typographical mistake which redirects students to an adult website. In the wake of strong backlash from religious groups and various civil societies, telecom authorities have blocked the access to the website. Distribution of the textbooks was immediately halted. As of now, although the first school term of 2026 has begun, the distribution of new grade 6 textbooks was halted pending the review. Voting across 29 municipal corporations is being held across Maharashtra. It will continue until 5:30 p.m. local time, with counting scheduled for January 16th. The spotlight is on the BMC, India's richest civic body in Mumbai. 1,700 candidates are vying for 227 seats in the elections being held after a 4-year delay. The election is seen as a chance for the Thackeray brothers, who have reunited after 20 years, to reclaim their heritage as heirs of Bala Saheb Thackeray. The Bharatiya Janata Party and the Shiv Sena are contesting the civic polls as allies under the Mahayuti banner, except in Pune, where the Nationalist Congress Party, the NCP, has chosen to fight independently in most corporations. Northern India is shivering through its toughest winter stretch yet. For the past 4 days, a relentless cold wave has paralyzed Delhi NCR, with temperatures in some pockets crashing to as low as 2 degrees Celsius. According to the IMD, the cold wave is set to abate from Friday as mercury is to rise. The National Capital Region woke up to a ghostly landscape this morning as a massive blanket of fog covered the city. Visibility dropped to near zero in several parts of the capital, and its satellite cities impacted daily commute. On Wednesday, the minimum temperature in Gautam Budh Nagar plunged to 2 degrees, while Delhi's Safdarjung station recorded 3.8 degrees Celsius. The IMD has warned that very dense fog will continue to prevail in parts of Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh, Delhi and Uttarakhand till Friday morning. The Uttarakhand Disaster Management Department has sought assistance from the Indian Air Force to douse an active forest fire that has been raging for the past 5 days near the UNESCO World Heritage Site, the Valley of Flowers in Chamoli district. The IAF Mi-17 V5 helicopter from Central Air Command was deployed in firefighting mode at Joshimath to meet requisition requirement from state government. This response once again highlighted the IAF's dual role in defense and disaster response. A Singapore coroner's court has heard that Indian singer-songwriter Zubeen Garg had been severely intoxicated and entered the sea without a life jacket before drowning off Lazarus Island last September. 52-year-old Garg was part of a private yacht outing on September 19, 2025, a day before he was scheduled to perform at the Northeast India Festival in Singapore. He was later declared dead, with an autopsy establishing drowning as the cause. According to the testimony presented at the opening of the inquiry, Garg had worn a life jacket during an earlier swim but removed it on returning to the yacht. Asian markets traded mixed as investors reacted to central bank moves and corporate news. South Korea's central bank held interest rates at 2.5%, citing weakness in the won. The Kospi rose more than 0.5%, while the won slipped to around 1,466 per dollar. Japan's Nikkei fell just over 1%, though topics edged higher. Australia's market gained nearly 0.5%. In China, Hong Kong stocks declined. Overnight in the US, stocks fell for the second day as tech shares including Nvidia and Broadcom weighed on markets. Oil prices tumbled more than 2% in early Asian trading. This after US President Donald Trump said violence in Iran's crackdown on nationwide protests was easing and indicated there were no plans for large-scale executions, reducing concern about imminent US military action and possible supply disruption. Brent crude fell about $1.67 to the mid-$60. Traders also weighed bearish signals from larger than expected US crude inventories and Venezuela's resumed exports, even as geopolitical risk remains elevated. Gold and silver extended record-breaking rallies as investors rushed into safe haven assets amid rising geopolitical and economic uncertainty. Spot gold climbed nearly 1% to a fresh all-time high above $4,640 an ounce, supported by expectations of Federal Reserve rate cuts and ongoing concerns over US political pressure on the central bank. Silver surged more than 5%, also hitting a record, as analysts pointed to strong demand and a structural bull market in precious metals. Tensions involving Iran, renewed debate over US global influence, and mixed US economic data added to market caution. Platinum and palladium also advanced, underscoring broad strength across metals. The Japanese yen steadied in Asian trade but remained near 18-month lows. Markets stayed alert for possible currency intervention ahead of a snap election. The yen traded around 158.5 per dollar after verbal warnings from Japan's finance minister, though it remains down nearly 5% since Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi took office. Investors are wary that an early election could bring more fiscal spending, adding pressure to Japan's already heavy debt load and complicating the Bank of Japan's policy outlook. Analysts say warnings have slowed losses for now, but markets are testing whether authorities will act. Meanwhile, the dollar held firm despite lingering concerns over Federal Reserve independence, with attention turning to US data, rates, and global tensions. US e-commerce giant Amazon has said that it will appeal against a decision by an Italian court that reduced a major antitrust fine, saying it should not be charged at all. Italy's antitrust authority has cut the fine to $876.3 million from $1.31 billion after a court ruling linked to a 2021 case. The penalty was imposed over claims that Amazon abused its dominant position in e-commerce logistics in Italy. Amazon said it strongly disagrees with the decision and will continue to challenge it through legal channels. A coalition of women's groups, tech watchdogs, and progressive activists have urged Apple and Google to remove a social media platform X and its chatbot Grok from their app stores. In open letters, the coalition accused the Elon Musk-owned apps of generating illegal content that violates both companies' terms of service. The campaign follows reports that Grok has produced sexually explicit, degrading, and violent images of women and children. The campaign is backed by groups including Ultraviolet, the National Organization for Women, Move On, and Parents Together Action. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has said that X is acting to fully comply with UK law after regulator AFCON launched a probe into sexualized images created by the Grok AI chatbot. Starmer told Parliament the government had been informed that X was taking steps to address the issue and said further action would be taken if needed. Shortly after, Elon Musk said Grok would always follow the laws of the countries where it operates. Musk said the chatbot would refuse to create any images that are illegal under local laws. According to a Reuters report, Ryanair will not fit Elon Musk's Starlink satellite internet on its aircraft, citing higher fuel costs and short flight times. The airline said the antenna required for Starlink would create extra drag and weight, leading to around a 2% fuel penalty. Ryanair chief executive Michael O'Leary said the cost impact makes little sense for the airline's average one-hour flights. He added that passengers are unlikely to pay extra for Wi-Fi on such short journeys. Bandcamp has announced it will become the first major music platform to outrightly ban AI-generated music and audio, saying that tracks created wholly or substantially by generative AI are not permitted on its service and will be removed. The policy also forbids using AI tools to impersonate other artists or musical styles, and Bandcamp is encouraging its community to report content they suspect relies heavily on AI. In addition to banning AI-made songs, Bandcamp's updated acceptable use and moderation policy explicitly prevents scrapping audio from the site or using uploaded music to train AI models, reinforcing its mission to support human artists and protect artistic integrity. YouTube announced new parental controls to help manage how much time children and teens spend watching shorts. Parents can now set timers for shorts, block access temporarily or permanently, and encourage breaks with bedtime or take a break reminders. The features also apply to adult users who want to limit their own watching time. In the coming weeks, YouTube will make it easier to switch between parent and child accounts without affecting recommendations. The new controls build on existing supervision tools for teens, similar to features on TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, and Facebook. Sadio Mane fired Senegal into the final of the Africa Cup of Nations, ending Mohamed Salah's AFCON dream once again. The two-time African Footballer of the Year scored the only goal of the match in the 78th minute. The match was a rematch of the 2021 AFCON final when Mane's Senegal emerged victorious after a penalty shootout. This marks the third time the Senegal forward has got the better of his former Liverpool teammate Salah in a high-stakes international encounter. Salah remains without the AFCON trophy, having lost the final twice. Senegal will now face host Morocco as they chase their second AFCON title. Morocco survived a nervy night in Rabat, edging Nigeria 4-2 on penalties to book their place in the final. The result means the hosts have reached their first AFCON final since 2004. They will be now bidding to lift the trophy for the first time since 1976. The Atlas Lions will take on Senegal in the final on Sunday, while Nigeria face Egypt in the third-place playoff on Saturday. Bangladesh cricketers have threatened to boycott all forms of cricket unless board director Najmul Islam resigns following his explosive comments. Najmul claimed that no player would be compensated if they withdraw from the upcoming ICC Men's T20 World Cup in India. He argued that the BCB does not ask players to return the crores and crores of taka unquote, spent on them when they fail to perform. The remarks come amid ongoing fallout from the BCB's decision not to play matches in India at the upcoming T20 World Cup.